The FIM CEV Repsol Moto3 Junior World Championship is the guaranteed pipeline of Grand Prix world champions, who are two of the hottest names in the racing world right now. It's our 2018 champion Raul Fernandez and last year's runner-up Pedro Acosta. They were both able to pick up Grand Prix race victories last week in Portimao, and if you can get it done here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, you're more than ready for the world stage. For 2021, we've got a lot of young riders out there trying to prove themselves after a lot of the top riders from last season stepped up to the Moto3 World Championship. Steve English and Kiko Giles here in Estoril, and Kiko, this is the big one. This is the start of the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Only one race for the Moto3 riders this weekend, but this is going to be a good one. We've only got one race winner in the class, Jose Julian Garcia. Everyone else trying to prove themselves.
This is going to be the big one, Steve, as you say, and thankfully the thunderstorms that we have been promised almost in the last few hours have dissipated, and then we are going to have a dry race. Who'd have thought it for Moto3?
Yeah, we had a few spots of rain during the Moto2 race. Thankfully that's pushed on. This is the action from the 2020 season, and what a season it was. What a season it was last year. It was Izan Guevara that was able to pick up the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Amazingly, Pedro Acosta, the boy that's leading the Moto3 World Championship now, that's won 2 out of the opening 3 races. He didn't get the job done last year, Kiko, in this class. He was able to do it in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, but it does just show how competitive it is in the Moto3 Junior World Championship.
Exactly. These guys here are absolutely on it all the time, and you know, last year Pedro Acosta was very, very unlucky at times to be taken out, to be caught up in other incidents, but he had the raw pace and he's converting it now onto the World Championship stage.
Yeah, for Pedro Acosta, he was actually 3rd in the championship. I did a disservice there to Javi Artigas, who finished 2nd in the championship. But it was such a closely fought battle all the way through the season. It really was a classic encounter where we had experienced riders that probably in a non-COVID year would have moved on. But certainly for today, we're going to be able to hear from our pole sitter, Ivan Ortola, a rookie in the Moto3 Junior World Championship.
I was on the box until the last 5 minutes. I was very nervous. And the last lap, I can push very, very hard and finally do a pole position, the first pole position with my new team. I'm very happy with the bike, and thanks to all the team.
Pero bueno, siempre dice que pillaron en 50. Que pillaron rebufo de 3 o 4.
Pole position on his Moto3 debut for Ivan Ortola. He's a guy, Kiko, that's had a lot of success in the last year. If you look at the Red Bull Rookies Cup, if you look at the European Talent Cup, he's been able to pick up 11 podiums and 4 wins across those 2 championships. He's a talent.
He's a talent, and he's a specialist here. Of them 4 wins, Steve, 2 of them in ETC came here at Estoril in 2019. He is looking to become the 20th different winner from Spain in the CEV Moto3. And what a start to the season that would be for a rookie. Well, it's like a rookie revelation today, Steve.
Yeah, certainly on the back of what we saw in the Moto2 class, and now there's a pressure on the likes of Ivan Artola. There's pressure on some other riders further down the field to make a big impact. The likes of David Alonso, last year's European Talent Cup winner. He's got a bit of pressure to come from the fourth row of the grid. This man, David Salvador, he was the pole man here last year in Estoril. He's had podiums, Kiko, still chasing that first race victory.
Still chasing that first victory, but not bad from Salvador. Changed teams this year to TM Racing. Now, that is their best qualifying as a manufacturer on the front row. So good stuff from Salvador. Can he convert it? He looked very, very strong in warm-up this morning when we was watching him. Great start on that TM bike. Whether or not he's got that pace over the distance, we're about to find out.
Yeah, for Salvador on the 38 machine, really gets his weight to load up that front of the bike. We saw him out there on his own in the warm-ups, and he was making sure that he was able to set decent times. This man, Takuma Matsuyama, though, he's out there trying to make sure he's able to pick up his first CEV podium. Kiko, he's been a race winner in the Asia Talent Cup, and he did well last year in the CEV Moto3 Championship, but he's out there trying to make sure he gets that first podium.
Absolutely, Matsuyama there. He looked very strong in the last race of last year in Valencia. And, do you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, last Japanese podium was 2 years ago in 2019 with Ryusei Yamanaka. So Matsuyama, a Japanese podium overdue, and Matsuyama looking like the rider who could deliver it. He's been in fine form this weekend.
Yeah, he did really well at Valencia last year from that front row start. Now he needs to make sure he's able to back that up. This is Jose Julian Garcia, the only race winner in the class. Kiko, it just shows how big of a contrast it is to 12 months ago in the Moto3 series.
The 18-year-old, honestly, he's incredible. He's the only race winner, and on paper, should clear up this year. We know that isn't going to be the case. We know there's going to be a whole load of other riders in the mix. Garcia, looking good, fourth. It's solid for his start to the season.
A lot of other riders in the mix. I'll tell you one rider you should expect something from. Danny Halgado on the number 96 machine. I remember being at Valencia a couple of years ago when he was just turned 14, literally the day before the race. Went out, put it on the podium. He's still waiting for that first race victory, though.
And I don't think the 15-year-old is going to have to wait long. Danny Holgado was in contention last year for victory at Valencia at the last round of last year. He's had one pole before, fastest laps. He's done all the bizzo. He hasn't got that victory yet.
Done all the bizzo. I'm not sure about that one, Kiko, I have to say. You can see there our pole sitter Ivan Artola on the grid just waiting for the 5-minute board to go out. So these Moto3 riders are closing in now in the start of their season, closing in on those leading positions as well, though, Kiko. Joel Kelso on the outside of the second row. Number 66, P6, number of the beast. Do you think is he going to have to be in a bit of beast mode today to be able to get himself in that scrap?
I tell you what, he was in beast mode in qualifying, far superior than anything we'd seen before. I mean, 6th place on the grid, by far his best. 2021 at Estoril, what can we expect from him? He's a changed rider. He's further up the grid. He's got more experience. It's now all about putting that in race trim. He was only 30th on the grid at Estoril last time, so he's come on as a rider in leaps and bounds. Yeah,
I love it though in this class how riders just gain that experience and then it changes everything. Kelso's actually had World Championship points paying positions in the Supersport 300 Championship. Last year he was able to have a top 10 finish in Moto3 as well. Now in his second year really needs to make sure he's able to kick on. We've got Jose Antonio Rueda starting from the third row of the grid. Kiko, this is his career best effort in qualifying.
Absolutely, and it's this, you feel like this is a big year for him. He didn't impress as we thought he would last year. There was aspects of it, but nothing solid. This is a year he will be on the podium at some point, maybe even today.
Yeah, of course, in one of those top teams in the Monlau competition teams, but certainly wants to make sure he's able to do a good job. Another rider that needs to do a good job is Super Mario, because unfortunately last year he didn't quite live up to the super part of that. He had a big crash, broke 3 bones in his hand, and that pretty much ruled him out for almost the entire CEV Moto3 season. But he did race in the Red Bull Rookies Cup last year as well.
He did, and he did come back at Valencia as well, and had a good race in race 2. Just a bit unfortunate, crashed out later on, but he's in contention this year. He's going to be fast. He is going to make progress.
Yeah, we've also got the likes of David Munoz on the third row of the grid, but it's all about Ivan Artola, our pole sitter, stepping up from the European Talent Cup to try and make an impact on the Moto3 Junior World Championship. We've got 17 laps of Moto3 action just coming up. Steve English and Kiko Giles here in Estoril for the opening round of the FIM CEV Repsol Moto3 Junior World Championship. Ivan Ortola will start on pole position, and the Moto3 Junior World Championship really is wide open after almost all of the top riders from last year moved on to the World Championship. Jose Julian Garcia on the number 20 machine is the only past race winner in the field, and the 658 Honda rider will start from the second row of the grid. Kiko, 17 laps of Moto3 action. I'm not willing to put my neck on the line on who's going to win this one.
If we weren't commentators, we'd be holding our breath for this one, Steve. I think this is really going to be one of them. It's all about track position. It's a little bit like ETC. You have got to put yourself in such a good position in that final sector. You've got to be able to close down. You've got to be able to have that kind of gap that creates a slipstream, but you can't be right behind someone because you don't gain anything. And Moto3, it's all about that slipstream, especially out of a last corner like we have here at Estoril, that wonderful, wide, sweeping right-hand onto the straight.
Yeah, you can see there a field of 34 riders in the Moto3 Junior World Championship here in Estoril. Keep an eye out for the likes of David Alonso. He's on the number 80 gas machine. Alonso starts from the fourth row of the grid. You can see him just at the top of the shot right now on the number 80 machine, the red bike. He really did a good job last year in the ETC. Came away as the European Talent Cup winner, but also, Kiko, last week in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, came away with 2 race victories in Portimao.
He is a serious contender. Don't forget as well, oh, we have yellow flags. Has someone stopped? Yes, someone has stopped.
We've got one rider at the back of the field. It looks like it's Nishimura.
Nishimura.
And Nishimura had a crash during the morning warm-up as well, and now he's going to have to start from the pit lane. Another few riders to keep an eye on all the way through this field. Jared Ryu on the number 67 machine. He's a teammate to Nishimura. He's the most experienced rider in the field. And experience does count at the early races of the season, but certainly for Jared Ryu, he'd need to make a big step forward this year compared to what we've seen at different times in the past from him. Like I said, David Alonso on the number 80 machine is one to keep an eye on, and then also the likes of Diego Moreira, who is second in the Red Bull Rookies after the Portimao races. Actually, finished second in one of the races in Portimao, and Kiko as well. Ivan Ortola, our pole sitter, he was second in the ETC last year and finished joint second in the Red Bull Rookies Cup as well.
He is a real gem of a talent, is Ortola. Other riders look out for, Steve. For our British fans back home, Scott Ogden goes from the middle of row 5. That's 14th place for him. Scott Ogden is more of a racer. He can come through in a race. We've seen it before. The track temperature is up again, a couple of degrees on Moto2, a whole 9 degrees on ETC. It's up to 27 now. Air temp 21. Nishimura has got out on track there, the number 57, but he is a long way down. Not sure if he'll be able to take up his grid position or it will be a back of the grid for him.
Well, he definitely will have to just start from the back of the grid if he's able to get round in time. This is a bit like Le Mans last year in the Moto2 class as well, but certainly for Nishimura, he's been allowed out in from his pit lane start. Now he needs to make sure he's able to get around as quickly as possible to see if he's able to take the start of this race. But for Nishimura, if he gets around in time, his tyres are certainly going to be up to temperature. Yeah,
they'll certainly be up to temperature. He might even set a pole position lap. He's going to have to go that quick. But they're coming around the final corner now. Steve, this is one of them kind of races where we can't read too much into it too soon, but we can tell people that Ortola's going to be quick, Salvador's going to be up there. The front 2 rows are going to be generally in the mix, but like we've said, look out for David Alonso, look out for the likes of Mario Aggi, look out for Antonio Rueda. There is going to be a peloton at the front of this.
Yeah, we've got a 12-race season this year for the Moto3 class. Kicks off here in Estoril. We're in Valencia in a few weeks' time. Then Catalunya, Portimao, Aragon. They'll support the Misano Grand Prix as well. And then we've got double headers to finish the year in Jerez and Valencia. The riders now making their way onto the grid. You can see the front row. And it's Ivan Ortola that starts from pole position on the number 24 machine. David Salvador on the 38 on the TM Racing bike. And then on the outside of the front row, the 32 of Takuma Matsuyama, and just keeping an eye on what's happening with Nishimura and whether or not he's been able to get to the grid. Doesn't look like he's been able to get to the grid. He has just arrived just now, and it looks like he's been ushered to the back of the grid, Kiko. So able to start this race from the back of the field, but it's all about Ortola, Salvador and Takuma Matsuyama on the front row of the grid. We're getting ready for 17 laps of the Moto3 Junior World Championship action here in Estoril. The red lights are on. And the 2021 Moto3 Junior World Championship Championship is underway. Ivan Ortola from pole position on the number 24, able to make a clean start as they head down towards turn 1. We do have one rider that struggled off the line, but into turn 1, it looks like it's Matsuyama's made a great start, and we'll wait and see what happened down in towards turn 1. Looks like it might have been Matsuyama that's been able to take that lead. It's actually Danny Halgado that's done a really good job from the second row of the grid. Ivan Ortola now into second position. Matsuyama just ushered down to third spot. Matsuyama trying to dive down the inside into turn 3. Looks like he's been able to take second position. Action-packed start here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship.
Action-packed and all clean. Really good start from everyone. Halgado leading then from the TM of Salvador. Then it's Matsuyama, and I think in fourth is that...
It's Ivan Ortola, our pole setter. He's been just factored down the field a little bit. That can happen in the opening races, opening laps of the season. You've got to make sure that you're able to keep yourself in those leading positions. We've got Jose Julian Garcia up there inside the top 5 as well. He's a race winner, the only race winner in this class in the past, and he'll want to make sure that he's able to stay in that lead group.
Yeah, Garcia got a terrible getaway, properly bogged down. He's recovered a little bit now. He's on the back of that leading group in 5th place. 6th place, can't quite see who that is. The number 77 is going out. That's Mattia Volpi.
And it was Volpi, obviously, that had that issue on the start on the start of this race into the chicane for the first time, though it's still Danny Halgado leading the way, and the 15-year-old doing a really good job here in the opening lap of the race. But David Salvador doing really well on that TM as well to be able to hold on to second spot.
And we said it in warm-up this morning, Steve. We was watching trackside. We said that Salvador could be in the mix, and he's looking. He could be slipstreaming his way to the front here, down the straight. We're coming to the end of lap 1. It's a good... Wow, out wide
Munoz
there.
all the way out wide. Let's see what happens here as they try and slipstream across to the start-finish line. Matsuyama not close enough to make the move on the run across the line, but he's certainly going to be in the right position. Look at Garcia, the way able to use that big slipstream to sweep around all those riders as well, trying to make sure he's able to take the race lead. But Danny Halgado holds him off with that wide sweeping line into turn 1. Good riding from Halgado on the opening lap of the race. Good riding from all these front runners as well to be able to keep their noses clean. Very easy to have an opening lap crash like we've seen in the past couple of seasons in the Moto3 Championship. Jose Julian Garcia not quite able to get that bike stopped, but looks like he's going to be aggressive in these early stages, Kiko. He's the guy that's won a race in this class.
He is probably one of the favourites for this championship, and he really should be. He's been around long enough now on Moto3. He's even got Moto3 World Championship experience, front-running Moto3 World Championship experience at times as well. So the number 20 there we're talking about, he is in contention here. Matsuyama been relegated to 4th now. Bit of a gap back then to David Munoz. All wide from Garcia.
Runs wide on the run into the hairpin. And
2 places.
Able to collect it though, so nothing to be too worried about at this stage of the race. Able to keep himself in that lead group. Going to try and answer straight back on Matsuyama. Not quite close enough to make the move. But Garcia, he's got a little bit of confidence about him at the start of this race, but maybe a little bit of overconfidence on the run down in towards turn 6. Down into towards the chicane. This is where if you're a little bit wide, you can have a mistake, you can have an accident, and you can take out quite a few riders along with your own mistake. We're just seeing a long lap penalty has been given to the number 7. That's Filippo Fariola. He's been given a long lap penalty for irresponsible riding. He's further down the field, but for Fariola, he's going to have to make sure that he takes that in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, he'll have to get on that within 3 laps, I believe. So Farioli down there, already down the order anyway, so it's not going to affect the leading group too much. At the front, Holgado leads. There's a gap between 2nd and 3rd now at the moment. Matsuyama being slipstreamed by Garcia. Holgado's still led across the line. Salvador, is he going to pull out on the brakes? No, he's not. It's just keeping a watching brief. Garcia goes 3rd. 4th nearly was Munoz, but Matsuyama, I think, just chopped his nose off. And in 5th place, still... in 6th place still is Ortola, and 7th, that looked like Rueda coming through there. So Rueda showing a bit of form at last.
Yeah, you can see here the 96 of Danny Halgado continues to lead this race from the 38 of David Salvador. Salvador, pole man here last year, front row start this season. He does love Estoril. He's got a couple of podiums in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, still chasing that first race victory though, but he's doing a good job here to make sure he's keeping Danny Halgado honest. Halgado's had a lot of podiums, Kiko, still waiting for that first race victory though. Just in that battle for 3rd position, you can see Matsuyama just trying to place himself just to put that pressure on Jose Julian Garcia. But at the front of the field, Kiko, these are 2 riders out there trying to get their first ever race victories.
Exactly, and Holgado, looking at last year's stuff, led every race, led every lap, or was 2nd every lap in last year's first race, finished 3rd overall. Let's hope that he can get on top of that podium and kickstart his season in style. Salvador's going with him.
A few riders making progress on the opening lap. The number 80 of David Alonso, last year's European Talent Cup winner, he's moved himself up into the top 10. Further down the field, Josh Watley on the number 70 machine, just on the outside now of the points paying position. He started all the way down on the 8th row of the grid, so good opening laps for Josh Watley on that machine. You can see here with David Salvador, he's done a good job in these opening couple of laps. Himself and Danny Halgado have been able to open up a gap of over a second to Jose Julian Garcia, and this is now crucial for them to work together. Make sure that they take advantage of the scrap for 3rd position, just to make sure that this is a battle just between the two of them for the race lead. You can see there with David Salvador able to use that slipstream. Is he going to be able to take that inside line down in towards turn 1? Looks like he is, but Danny Halgado able to break really deep. That's good riding from Halgado, who's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:44.7. That tallies up pretty much the exact same pace as the pole position as well in this class, and Halgado did that pretty much with no one in front of him as well. He's been able to set that pace. That's impressive stuff, Kiko.
Yeah, the pace has been very good across all. Oh, the 69 has gone down.
That's Fusco that's gone out, Rafa Fusco, and that's unfortunate for the teammate of David Salvador, but let's wait and see what's happening at the front of the field to see if the likes of Salvador and Halgado have been able just to keep stretching that lead over Garcia.
This looks like it's going to be turn 1. Yeah, he's out on a wide line, straight over the cement dust, so we had a bit of an oil spill or something of the kind there over the course of yesterday, and unfortunately Rafa Fusco is down, and I think he's out. I don't think he's rejoined that one, but back at the front, what's it like? Holgado leads Salvador, leads Garcia, who's now a distant 3rd in comparison and in relative terms to Moto3.
Yeah, on this lap though, Garcia has been able to pull back a couple of tenths of a second through the first half of the lap. That's what he has to do. He needs to make sure that the likes of Halgado and Salvador, two experienced riders, don't manage to open up a big gap at the front of the field, because even though Halgado hasn't won a race, even though Salvador hasn't won a race, they've been able to be front runners all the way through the last couple of years here in the CEV Championship, and that's the key thing, is now just to be able to use that experience to make the most from it. David Munoz up there inside the top 5 as well. He's putting pressure on Garcia. This is as good as we've seen from Munoz. He's been really strong in the Red Bull Rookies Cup in the past, but hasn't really been able to turn that into CEV Moto3 results as well. So he's doing a good job inside the top 5. You can see though with David Salvador, he's trying to make sure he gets that inside line on Danny Halgado. He has the line, but Halgado able to break so deep into turn 1. That's impressive stuff from Danny Halgado to get the bike stopped and keep that lead. Yeah,
we've seen it time and time again. Holgado, 45, jump start, 2 long lap penalties. So the number 45.
Clement Rouge, that's jumped to start, so further down the field for Rouge, but he's in the points paying positions right now in 12th spot, but he's going to have 2 long lap penalties. That'll be up at turn 6. You have to run the long way around the corners through there, and then for Clement Rouge, probably losing about 2.5 seconds for each of those long lap penalties. You can see here though in the scrap for 3rd, Munoz is trying to attack Garcia. This is only going to cost them time as well though, Kika.
Yeah, this isn't Sho Nishimura, as if his race couldn't go any worse. He's crashed out now, not sure where that is, but that looks like turn 2. That's a bit fast if he's gone down there. He's walking now, so he's up and okay. Yeah, Holgado leading Salvador. Matsuyama having a look, can't quite do it, but Holgado leading Salvador. Both of them have got the pace, we know that. Both of them have got the confidence to run at the front. We've seen it before. And now these two are kind of the cream of the class. The responsibility is on them to bag some victories. But we're not sure whether or not the gap looks good now. But if these two do start battling, we've got 13 laps of it to go, of course, it could just change. And we know, we've seen it before. Jose Julian Garcia, his pace is very, very strong when he rides alone. Yeah, these riders at the front, they know that now is the opportunity to try and make sure that you're able to really establish yourself in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. You can see for Salvador, he's really strong through that last corner, uses the slipstream, but is he close enough to try and attack here on Danny Halgado? You do feel that if this was the end of the race, he'd certainly feel that he's got a much better chance of being able to make those moves. But as it is right now, he's just keeping that watching brief on the number 38 machine. Good riding from the race leaders. They've been able to stretch out just under 1.5 seconds. That's Clement Rouge that's crashed out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's down at the long lap penalty. Maybe he's made a mistake through there. He has obviously had to take that long lap penalty. But for Clement Rouge, he'll now have to wait until 2 weeks' time in Valencia for his next taste of
Moto3 Junior World Championship action. Kiko, we're seeing a lot of riders as well get track limits warnings. This is something we're going to have to keep an eye on in this class.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a problem as well in the Moto3 World Championship. Track limits are becoming more and more of an issue there. But in the Junior World Championship, of course, they're going to be harsh on it. They want to stamp it out as soon as possible and at as young an age as possible, like these guys here. And it's, you know, they're running wide. This is one of the hot spots on the exit of turn 6. They can go on the green, as I think Mario Adji just did there at the top of the screen. Out of here, not so much. You can do it, of course. You can do it anywhere, really, but not really a major hot spot. This is the battle for third place, and that looks like Matsuyama
down the inside. He's done a good job there on Jose Julian Garcia to get that bike stopped and pick up the spot. Really good riding from the Japanese rider. He's trying to pick up his first career podium. We saw flashes of him last year. Kiko, he was a front row starter in Valencia. He was in those battles at the lead of the race as well in Valencia, but didn't quite get the job done. Now's his opportunity to pick up that podium, which you can see with Jose Julian Garcia. He's trying to answer straight back on the number 20 machine, gets himself into the slipstream. Munoz behind on the 64 as well, trying to make sure he's able to use that toe. You can see from Matsuyama looking under attack here from number 20, but it's going to have to go all the way around, the long way here for Jose Julian Garcia, and Matsuyama able to defend really well. Good riding from the Japanese rider.
Yeah, does he run wide on exit, and will Garcia get him back? It's a bit close, but no, Matsuyama's done a great job there, but the thing is, they cost each other time. The gap was a second, really, a couple of laps ago. Now it's up to nearly 1.6, so not ideal. David Alonso running wide there, but up in 7th place, so he was on the green, but he's in 7th, and just ahead of him is our pole sitter, Ivan Ortola. That's his next target.
Yeah, David Alonso was the race winner in both Red Bull Rookies Cup races last week, the number 80 machine. He's on the gas Aspar bike, and certainly a rider always worth keeping an eye on. I think it's his birthday today, so he's trying to make sure he celebrates in style, but needs to make sure he's able to close up on that next group to be able to be in that podium scrap as well. Right now, we've seen Garcia with his bit of experience able to make sure that he's been able to keep himself in those leading positions in this group. Let's see what Matsuyama can do now. Does he have a little bit more pace to try and close the gap on the race leaders? The gap was 1.5 seconds between Salvador and Matsuyama at the start of this lap.
It was, and at the moment, you know, Matsuyama's got some clean air, and the front two are actually a little bit closer. I must say, Salvador has, oh, that's a disaster. Joel Kelso qualified a career best 6. He's crashed, can't quite see where that is, but he's out of action anyway. But Matsuyama, he is pulling away from Garcia, and he's got a bit of a clear track. Kelso back up and running on his bike.
Yeah, that's Kelso on the 66 machine, crashed out of 12th position. Kiko, take us through it.
Turn 6, trail braking in. He's going to run it wide. Yeah, he's lost it very far into the corner. I feel like he's just got too much lean angle, too much front brake. Straight up on his feet. He's only a little lad, Joel Kelso, at the moment, of course. He's still growing, but he picks that bike up and he has remounted. Yeah. But across the line, 1.3. The gap has come down a little bit.
Very easy to make a mistake through turn 6 there as you just start to crack open the gas, and unfortunately for Kelso, just gets himself caught out with that. But at least he was able to get himself up into those top 10, 11, 12 positions through the course of this race. That'll give him confidence heading to the next round in Valencia. This is the battle for third position. You can still see that it's Matsuyama leading this, but last time around pulled in 0.2 of a second on the race leaders, so suddenly that group for third position is starting to edge themselves closer. You can see the Aspar team, they're trying to keep a cool head at this stage of the race. Their rider is leading this race on the gas machine. That's Danny Halgado on the number 96. But look at that battle for third position. It's starting to stretch out now. Matsuyama's broken away from Garcia. He's broken away from Munoz, who's trying to make sure he's able to get down the inside there. But those 4th and 5th positions really do need to get their head down, stop battling with each other, and just go with Matsuyama.
It's about working together now, and Matsuyama 1/4 of a second quicker than Salvador on that previous lap. We've seen with Matsuyama before, he can run a good pace on his own, but he is prone to the odd error. I hope with 10 laps to go, that doesn't start happening.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, right now, all Garcia has to do is tap his tail unit, because that's all you do in these races, and suddenly everyone stays with you and you're able to close up the group. But right now, Matsuyama is the rider on the move. He's had a personal best in sector 1, 2 and 3, so could well be on course for a new fastest lap in this race. As it stands right now, it's a 44.7 from Danny Holgado at the start of this race. That is the fastest lap of the race, but we've seen this group now starting to condense once again at the front. You can see with Salvador, maybe now is the time for him to start thinking about seeing if he's able to lead this race. As the riders come and get their pit boards to be able to say, we're just about to come into the second half of this race fairly soon. This is when you've got to make sure you're in a position to keep yourself in those leading positions, Kiko.
Yeah, and this is a time where now we're around halfway into this race. Matsuyama, fastest lap, 44.742. I tell you what, that's right on the pace for qualifying yesterday. But yeah, it's all about settling down now, working together. Matsuyama, perfect example of this. He's settled down, he's hit third place, he's done the battling early on, and he knows he's got the pace. It's whether or not he can catch them, and he clearly is. The gap is under a second.
Yeah, what's interesting right now is the second fastest rider on track is actually at the back of this group as well. It's in 6th position, David Alonso. He was a half a second faster than the race leaders, but with 9 laps to go, he's got a lot of ground to make up on the riders in front of him. He's got about 1.5 seconds to make up, maybe even 2 seconds to make up, so needs to really get his head down and close up on this leading group. But as it is right now, the leading group is closing right up. Daniel Holgado on the red gas bike leading this race on the 96 machine. Then it's the 38 of Salvador. He's trying to be in a position to attack for the race lead. Matsuyama, though, he's bringing that group together. And Matsuyama on the 32 machine last time around with the fastest lap of the race. Jose Julian Garcia went with him. David Munoz as well. Suddenly, we've got 5 riders in the lead group.
We've got a 10-wheeler, Steve. Just when we thought we was going to ease our way into Moto3 in 2021, of course we are wrong. So Holgado is leading Salvador. And now it's the 3rd place with Matsuyama, who's right there, and the slipstream down this 1 kilometre front straight is going to be huge for these guys.
Yeah, suddenly we've got that prospect now of all these riders starting to battle with one another. They've kept a cool head up to this point. That's going to go out the window fairly soon. You can see here with Garcia using the slipstream. You can see Matsuyama using the slipstream as well. Suddenly, Danny Holgado on the 96 is under a lot of pressure. Look at Munoz on the 64. He's sideways, not quite able to make the move, though. We saw Garcia on that tight line, not able to get that bike stopped. Danny Holgado's held on to the race lead, but now the pressure starts to build. It's Munoz on the 64 that was the fastest rider last time around. Don't read too much into that. This is just a 5-rider group, and this could go anywhere right now.
Yeah, 44.4 mind is very, very good. He's wide there, though. Through comes Salvador.
Doing a good job to be able to hold that tight inside line on Munoz. This is where Salvador wasn't able to attack Danny Holgado. He had the pace to be at that leading group, but didn't quite have the pace to make the moves on Holgado for the race lead. Now he needs to attack on that 38 machine, otherwise he could find himself at the back of this group very quick. The 38 does go down the inside into turn 6, runs in a little bit wide, and Munoz trying to hold that tight line, carry the speed through there. Salvador is going to just try and be brave around the outside. It gives him the inside line then down in towards turn 7, and it looks like Salvador has been able to hold on to that, but very easy to run a little bit wide through this section, leave yourself open for an attack down in towards the chicane. If you're the 64 of Munoz, you want to answer back really quickly, because suddenly for him and for Matsuyama at the back of this group, you want to be in a position to be able to attack down this start-finish straight. It's a massive slipstream down there now, Kiko.
It really is. The funny thing about this battle is that, especially down the front straight, Matsuyama was the rider who did all the donkey work to bridge the gap from 3rd to 2nd, and now he finds himself in 5th. Hardly fair, you might think, but we're down this front straight now. This is where it could all change. Look at the slipstream. Garcia is perfectly placed. We'd want to be a bit closer on the last lap, but he is perfectly placed for a move down into turn 1. He might even do it before that.
We know Danny Holgado's good on the brakes, but we can see with Garcia, he's brave around the outside. Has he been able to get that bike stopped and keep that position? He has. So Jose Julian Garcia hits the front. He's a race winner in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. We are starting to see some track limits warnings come into effect now as well. We've seen it for another couple of riders, including David Alonso, who's trying to close up on this leading group. Alonso up there in 6th position. He's got 1.5 seconds to make up. Last time around, though, he picked up 0.8 of a second on these riders. David Salvador picks up a position there to be able to move himself up into 2nd spot behind Jose Julian Garcia. So Garcia on the number 20 machine on the 658 bike. He's done a good job to hit the front. Now he needs to make sure he's in a position to be able to keep attacking from that position. But right now, you can see with Salvador, he's found that little bit of hunger. He's found something there now, Kiko. He couldn't make those moves earlier in the race. Suddenly, with Garcia running wide, he takes the race lead. Let's see what he has in terms of his pace.
Yeah, he's found the lead, Steve. That's what he's found now. Holgado just going to fight off Garcia there. Yes, he does. Garcia was wide. We know that. But Salvador really now looking for a first victory. You can't discount Munoz and you can't discount Matsuyama.
Trying to make the move into the chicane again. He's done that a few times already now, Kiko. So he's clearly got a lot of confidence in that front end. Makes the move on Munoz. We move into the final 6 laps of this race. We're pretty much into the final third of this race. It's been a hot pace all the way through. They've been pretty much on pole position times all the way through this race. Look at how wide Salvador is. He's trying to just make sure he gets that exit to try and carry as much speed onto the start-finish straight. It's just under 1 kilometre long, this front straight, but with the slipstream that these Moto3 bikes give, it's very easy for the gap to come right down in the last 200-300 metres of the straight. You can see here in 3rd position, it looks like Garcia trying to use that toe to put himself into a good position. Matsuyama trying to get down the inside as well on the number 32 machine, but Garcia able to sweep across, hold on to that 2nd spot behind Danny Halgado. But once again, we saw David Salvador, Kiko, didn't quite have the speed down the start-finish straight.
Didn't quite have the speed. He's very good in the braking areas, and he's about to demonstrate the point. No, he's not, because Matsuyama wipes his nose. Just interestingly, 1.7 is the gap between Alonso and the lead. That could be coming down as this race goes on. We're in the final third, so now it's now the time we should see this battling, and we should see these times tumble. Alonso's got clear air.
Yeah, for David Alonso, he's been able to pull in around about 1.5 seconds over the last few laps. Just seeing another track limits warning. This one's out for Senna Agius as well, further down the field. He's trying to battle his way into those points-paying positions. But for Senna, it's been a pretty tough weekend. He's got Leon Camier here, actually, as a bit of a mentor as well. So hopefully over the course of the season, that bears fruit for the Australian rider. Right now, though, he's further down the field than he'd like. But at the front of the field, you can see that it's still Danny Holgado. And Kiko, every time there's been a question asked of him, Halgado's been able to answer it. Yeah,
he looks comfortable. You know, he's not really cracking under pressure. He's running his own pace. He's got a little bit of a gap, nearly 4/10 of a gap, actually, over Jose Julian Garcia. And he's not looking ragged. He looks very calm on the bike. He's looking smooth, consistent, hitting all his markers. Looking very, very good.
On this lap so far, he's been able to pick up about 4/10 of a second as well. But the problem for him is what happens when we get onto the start-finish straight. This is where we saw David Salvador in a really strong position last lap around, and suddenly he was 4th position by the time it shuffled out of turn 1. Let's see if the same thing happens to Danny Holgado as well. You can see the Aspar team giving him plenty of encouragement down there. Halgado chasing his first race victory. It's been a while coming for him, but the number 96 certainly looks nice and strong here at the start of the season. Comes into the year as one of the pre-season title favourites. He's living up to his billing. Matsuyama doing a really good job to be in these podium spots as well. He's made a big step forward this year. And then the likes of Munoz as well. He last year was battling for points-paying positions, maybe inside the top 10 a few times, but a lot of times wasn't quite in the shuffle first. He's made a step forward now as well. And Kiko, that's the big thing. As you gain that little bit of experience, and whether it's the Red Bull Rookies Cup or the Moto3 Junior World Championship, suddenly you can make a big jump forward.
We've seen with the likes of Takuma Matsuyama, he has had the pace and he has been building, and we knew he would be up there this year, but he's surpassing our expectations. We didn't expect him to be the main threat to the likes of Holgado, and he's doing a great job.
I'll tell you what, you can see here with David Alonso now at the back of this group. He's in 6th position. He's the teammate to the race leader. He's there.
He's on the green, and he's already had track limits warnings. Let's hope that doesn't go much further for him, otherwise all this hard work will be undone with a long lap.
Matsuyama really strong into the chicane. Is he going to try and make a move now on the race leader, Danny Halgado, or does he try and keep his powder dry? Holds that tight line, but he's not willing to show his cards just yet at this stage. Wants to make sure he's just able to keep that pressure on Danny Halgado. But we're suddenly going to have 6 riders in the lead group. Mario Aggi's closing in as well, and then Diego Moreira as well closing in on those positions as well. He, of course, had a podium last week in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, but for Moreira, he's still got a bit of ground to make up on these leading riders. But certainly, Kiko, we could well have a 7-rider group at the front of the field very soon. It's Danny Halgado that leads across the line. Is that going to count for much down in towards turn 1? Doesn't look like it is. Matsuyama trying to go the long way around the outside into turn 1, but we know Halgado's very strong in the brakes. They pop up from the bubble, and suddenly Halgado's under attack, but able to hold off that line as well. He is very strong on the brakes into turn 1.
Yeah, Halgado has been excellent in the braking areas all through this race. We've got a track limits warning for the number 19.
Yeah, that's Alessandro Morossi further down the field, and you're going to be a bit worried now about the track limits. Just for the likes of David Alonso, we've seen him get a warning already, and Kiko, like you said last time around, might have ran out fairly close to the green. That's David Salvador diving down the inside at turn 4. That's a very, very good move to make into there. This track is actually surprisingly undulating. You can't really pick it up on the cameras, but there's some areas that are very downhill, such such as the entry down in towards turn 6. You can see there for Dani Holgado, he tries to get the bike stopped. Salvador's going to just make sure he answers straight back. He's not going to be mugged in this one. He wants to try and make sure he's nice and combative, but Dani Holgado, he's got the line and he's able to keep himself in the right spot. But suddenly, Kiko, look at the number 80 of last year's European Talent Cup winner. That's David Alonso closing.
And the 16 of Super Mario Aggi. Is he going to have a say? Look at this 14-wheeler into the chicane. Here comes Matsuyama, gets it. Ooh, wow.
He has to pull out of that one on Munoz. And certainly for Munoz, he's looking at it like, yeah, you've made that move a few times, mate. I'm not leaving that door open for you. But it was good riding from Matsuyama. He didn't want to put himself into a position where he could have a crash. He didn't want to make sure that he's able to live to fight another day in this race. He's up there in 4th position, just in front of the number 20, Jose Julian Garcia. But now look at these riders at the back of that group. It's Mario Aggi and David Alonso closing right up. And suddenly, we've got 7 riders in this group. It's Dani Holgado that leads across the line. But we've also got the 64 of Munoz, the 32 of Matsuyama. And then look at the number 80 of David Alonso. He's been able to move himself all the way up this group into 4th position. Could be 3rd by the time he exits the corner. Good riding from David Alonso. He has been patient all the way through this race. Last year in the European Talent Cup, we saw he was a surgeon. He was making sure that he was methodical all the way through the races, doing a really good job here to keep the pressure on in these leaders of the race. Matsuyama's just taken the race lead. We've got 2.5 laps to go. Kiko, who's your money on?
Oh, don't throw me under the bus like this. Oh, wow, it won't be on Munoz if he carries on doing that. Dearie me. I must admit, Holgado's look cool, calm and collected. Having said that, David Alonso has come from 12th on the grid. He was 15th on the grid in Valencia, still made the podium there. That was in ETC, not Moto3. It's like we said at the top of this on the grid. It has been a day of rookie revelations. Look at Munoz, the line he holds.
Yeah, and you can see there at the front, Matsuyama well off over the green. That's going to be a track limits warning for him, but he hasn't gotten one up to this point in the race as well. But Matsuyama's hit the front. And in fairness to Matsuyama, he's looked really strong through the course of this race, found his positions to be able to make moves, good into the chicane, and that could well be key on the last lap. But we also know now as well, the slipstream can make a massive difference. If you think back to last year in the Moto3 class, we saw Pedro Acosta come out on top by literally thousandths of a second.
3,000ths of a second, exactly. It was so close, and Holgado was 1st and 2nd throughout that whole race as well. I said it before, I hope he is not going to be mugged here on the line. But look at Matsuyama, Holgado, and now it is Salvador there. But in 5th place, Super Mario Aggi has found his feet and he's coming on very, very strongly, slipstreaming David Alonso. And these three, they're almost in the pit lane. That was Holgado, Matsuyama and Salvador. Nothing between them. Salvador looking on the inside, but it's going to be Holgado on the brakes. And Alonso, it's going to nerf him out.
I'll tell you what, Alonso's not afraid of it in this race. He's done a really good job to get himself up into 2nd spot there. He was 5th across the line with a gap to the riders in front. It's suddenly an Aspar 1-2 for the gas bikes. And certainly right now for David Alonso, the ETC winner last year, he's trying to make sure he's in a position to make sure his teammate Dani Holgado has to wait another couple of weeks for his first Moto3 Junior World Championship race victory. That's Matsuyama. He was leading into the last corner once the start-finish straight. Suddenly he's at the back of the group. So for all of these riders, it's going to change all the way through the last lap and a half. But look at Salvador. He's under attack here from David Alonso, but Alonso not quite able to make that move. Look at Garcia on the 20. He holds that tight line. You can see for Mario Aggi, he's hung out to dry there. And and Alonso just not quite with the same corner speed as Garcia as well. This is getting really close now in the final lap. Let's see if Matsuyama is able to make a move into the chicane.
And whilst that's happening, look who's checking out. Dani Holgado is starting to go here in the last. We've got about 6 kilometres left of this track. Look on the inside, Garcia. That's a big move. Gets it done on the inside of Alonso. That's for 3rd place. Matsuyama still trying to get through at the back of this group. He's on the inside of Munoz. Aggi is now looking to try and get ahead of Alonso.
Salvador's done a really good job now to be able to try and bridge some of that gap. Suddenly, we've got the leading two with a little bit of margin over 3rd position at this point as well.
Track limits warning for our race leader, Daniel Holgado. He can't be doing it too much.
He's only got 1 lap to go now, but Dani Holgado has that bit of a gap as well. His pit board's not going to tell him he's got a gap, but he does have a gap of about half a second on David Salvador. Salvador doesn't really have that slipstream to be able to try and close up at this stage. He needs to be really aggressive on this last lap. You can see David Alonso holds on to that 3rd position as Garcia is ran out wide there by Super Mario as well. Aggi on the 16 doing a good job to be able to build his way through this race and bridge those gaps all the way. But Dani Holgado Halgado leading the way here in the 96, the Aspar rider from David Salvador. Salvador's had podiums, Halgado's had podiums. David Alonso, he's an absolute rookie in the Moto3 class. This is his debut. He's up there in 3rd position, but right now it looks like it's a battle between those leading 2.
Yeah, at the moment, the front 4, none of them have had a race win. And Jose Julian Garcia, we've said already, is the only race winner on this grid this year. At the moment, I think Holgado, if he keeps it clean, has done enough here, Steve. He's got about half a second. It can all change.
Garcia manages to keep himself up there. That's already going to be a candidate for save of the season there. But look at Halgado out in front. Salvador in this lap has been able to pull back a couple of tenths of a second, but it's not enough at this stage. We're seeing the leading group start to stretch out down in towards the chicane. Is there going to be an opportunity to try and attack from Angie? No, he's too far back. So David Alonso is in 3rd right now, but that battle for the podium isn't finished. The battle for the win, though, it's Danny Halgado out in front, Salvador closing, but Salvador is going to need to be super fast through these final couple of corners. Look at Mario Aggi. That's going to be the battle across the line to see whether or not he's been able to pick up that podium. Looks like Alonso ran wide and Mario Aggi trying to get down the inside. Danny Halgado, though, comes on to the start-finish straight. David Salvador is going to pick up the slipstream, but it's going to be too little too late for Salvador. Danny Halgado is going to pick up his first Moto3 Junior World Championship victory from David Salvador. In 3rd position, it looks like David Alonso's held on to it.
Wow.
We'll wait and see whenever the timing screens come out for that one.
600ths of a second.
Great performance from the European Talent Cup winner last year in his debut, but a first-time race win for Danny Halgado. We've been waiting for this one for a while from Halgado.
At last, and we know he goes well at Estoril, and yeah, you may well wheelie, Danny, because that is very, very well deserved. And number 96 then is number 1 at Estoril. 2 weeks until Valencia, and we see these guys back out on track. And just to get it out there, the 20th different winner from Spain in this class. Fantastic stuff, Danny Holgado.
Tell you what, it's a real shame we don't have another Moto3 race today, because that was a fantastic battle at the front. And certainly with Danny Halgado, if you're able to perform well in this championship, if you're able to do a good job with a team like Aspar, you will get opportunities at a bigger stage on the World Championship. For the last 2 years, he's been able to do that. Now he gets the rewards with a race victory.
And the reigning champions in terms of team kick off their season as well as they could have hoped. Top stuff all around, and especially as well with David Alonso is in 3rd, of course. David Alonso on the podium for the team as well. Solid start all round.
Yeah, it didn't end up too badly last time for a European Talent Cup winner that went to the Aspar team and then moved into the Moto3 Junior World Championship. That was Izan Guevara, as a rookie last year, able to pick up that championship. Suddenly, though, Aspar just have an embarrassment of riches in this class once again. The 96 there, Danny Halgado, able to pick up his first race victory. David Alonso in there on the podium as well. And then a little bit further down the field, Scott Ogden as well, inside the top 10 for the British rider. So really impressive performance. Our pole sitter as well, Ivan Ortola, worth giving him a shout out, inside the top 10 in 8th position, just missing out on that leading group. He was about a second behind Jose Julian Garcia at the end of that race after Garcia's mistake on the final lap. But you can see there for David Alonso, he's going to be able to celebrate this one. Really, really good performance to be able to take the podium. And certainly for Alonso, it's good for the Colombian to be able to pick up that podium. Really good to be able to see a rider adapt so well from the ETC and give themselves a chance on the Junior World Championship stage. You can see there a little bit of work may be needed on the wheeling, but he'll pick that up through the course of this season very much so. And for Alonso, he's got 2 weeks until we go to Valencia. 2 weeks for him to be able just to gear himself up for the next round of the championship. And certainly on the back of what we've seen all the way through this weekend, looks like he's got a lot of potential. He's the rider, of course, that was able to do the double last week in Portimao in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, and now able to pick up another podium here on his debut in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Very impressive stuff from Alonso. All the riders now making their way back to Parc Ferme. It'll be Halgado, David Salvador and David Alonso on the podium, and you can see there for Danny Halgado, he's taken a bit of time to get himself back to pit lane. You can see there, nice big stand-up wheelie for him as he comes into pit lane, and he's going to celebrate this one because really has been very impressive. He's a kid that came into the Moto3 Junior World Championship the day after his birthday and immediately was quick as a 12 or 13-year-old, able to jump onto the bike in Valencia and immediately fight it out for podiums, immediately mark his card as a rider to watch. It's been a while for him to be able to pick up this race victory, but you can see there the Aspar team doffing the cap to him, and rightly so as well. Really impressive stuff from Danny Halgado to pick up this race victory. can see there the reactions from everyone down in Aspar. This is a team that's used to success, of course. They've been able to win races in World Championships over the years, and Danny Halgado now gives them a really strong start to the season as well. And Nico Terral, key figure in the Aspar squad, and the former 125 world champion. He's been a real man that's been able to find the talent in the European Talent Cup over the years. Aspar, of course, find riders all the way through from the Spanish Championships, the regional championships, and for Danny Halgado from Madrid, he's come through the ranks with that team, and now he's been able to celebrate his birthday in style with this race victory. See his teammate down there as well, David Alonso. Alonso, of course, from the European Talent Cup last year, stepping up and doing such a good job, mimicking what we saw last year from Izan Guevara when he was able to jump onto a Moto3 machine and immediately be a front runner. Of course, going on to win that championship, and now he's already in the Moto3 World Championship. With the likes of Guevara moving on to the World Championship, with the likes of Pedro Acosta, Xavi Artigas, and a host of other riders, the top guys from last year have left a bit of a void, and it's been filled by the likes of Danny Halgado and the rest of these riders at the front of the field. Now it's up to them to firmly establish themselves as the riders to watch. Look at David Alonso here down in towards turn one. This was one of the key moves during the race. It showed that he's got that confidence, having stepped up from the ETC. He expects to be a front runner here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, and he was taking no prisoners on the run down in towards turn one. Into that last corner, we saw Mario Aggi ran in to try and make the move on the entry to the corner, ran in a bit wide, and that's what cost him that exit. And David Alonso was able to be in a position to attack then on the runs to the line and take that third position just by a few hundredths of a second. His teammate, though, Danny Halgado on the 96, beats his chest, and rightly so, because he's put himself in the shop window. We're going to get the opportunity to hear from our race winner, Danny Halgado.
Daniel Holgado, first victory in the Moto3 class. Tell me how you feel.
What a race. I am very happy for my race. I did a good job this weekend. I am glad for it. Thanks to my team for the job and my family for the support. Matao, Goico is coming.
And in Spanish.
Qué carrera. He hecho muy buena carrera, muy buen finde también. He trabajado muy duro con mi equipo y estoy contento por ello. Tengo palabras de agradecimiento a mi equipo por todo el trabajo y a mi familia por el apoyo.
Perfect. See you later.
Danny Halgado there just thanking his family for that support that they've given him. This is the story of the opening race, the Moto3 Junior World Championship. You can see there a rider struggling off the line, but from that point on, it really was a case of who was able to hit the front. Danny Halgado was there all the way. What a race there from Danny Halgado to be able to pick up the 25 points. But from Halgado all the way through this race, really strong pace. He's been able to pick up the win from David Salvador, and then the rookie David Alonso doing a really good job in the last lap to make sure he was able to get through on Super Mario. Kiko, this isn't a bad way to start the season.
Oh, I need to lie down after that. I don't know about all of them. Holgado, Salvador Alonso, Adji and Munoz is the top 5, and Takuma Matsuyama unlucky there really in the end to only get 6. Good ride at a top 10 to start the season from Scott Ogden, Noah Detweiler there in 11th, 12th Harrison Voigt, Colin Vijay there 13th, Sharon Foodie Nazman 14th, and Tachikon Bouazri in 15th. Jose Antonio Rueda again, disappointing 16th.
Yeah, for Rueda, of course, qualifying on the 3rd row, the grade fell down the field. It's going to be interesting to see how he's able to recover from that during the course of the next couple of weeks as well. He's going to have obviously 2 weeks to get himself ready for Valencia. Track he knows well, track all these riders know well. See, there's Zonta van der Gerberg as well down there in 23rd position. Of course, Zonta coming up from the European Talent Cup as well. It's been a tough weekend for him, made a few mistakes, but certainly it's going to be interesting to see how he recovers all the way through. But Kiko, we're going to be moving on to Valencia next for these riders. It's a double header, 50 points up for grabs. This is when the real momentum starts to build.
Yep. This is when it really starts hitting on, really. You know, the season, yes, starts in Estoril, but when the back-to-back start coming in, qualifying starts meaning more. You know, you can't afford to be, if you're David Alonso, down in 12th on the grid. But here's the podium.
And for Danny Halgado, this one's going to be one to remember. Opportunity to stand on the top step of the podium for the first time in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Marks himself out as well for all the teams in the World Championship. Shows himself as being that potential rider. You can see David Alonso there, 3rd position. David Salvador in 2nd position. But there is our race winner, Danny Halgado. And for Halgado, this is what he's been waiting for, Kiko. This is what he's had the potential to do for so long.
It's felt very bottled up for Holgado. We know he has had the pace. For sure he is quicker here at Estoril, but at the back end of last year he was really in the mix, and it's been a long time coming, and finally that hard work pays off.
Yeah, the hard work pays off, and he gets the hardware as the race winner. And Danny Halgado, he's going to enjoy this one. It's an opportunity to listen to his national anthem as well in just a couple of moments' time. And see David Salvador on the TM bike. That's a good performance from them as well. They built on that qualifying performance where they did really well. And then for Halgado, there you have it. There's the hardware, and certainly he's going to celebrate this one. Let's hear the winner's national anthem.
And now, let's hear the Spanish national anthem.
It's amazing, Kiko. You forget about the giant novelty check when you're not getting it. I tell you what, I'd be in a hurry to go down and get a cash, though.
If they could just throw it up our way, that would be more than welcome.
That'd be a bit of a pay cut for us, but you know, we can make do with that. But Danny Halgado here, really impressive performance by him, and really good as well to see Salvador up there, and Alonso, a stunning job there as a rookie as well.
All 3 of those riders and teams, actually, you know, great job from Holgado, great job from the Aspar team. Alonso on their podium for the first time, and TM their first podium in CEV Moto3 as well. And Salvador, you know, a little bit too far behind in the end on that last lap, but he did close in, and I do feel Salvador, had he been closer, did have the pace to win that race, but he didn't win it. Holgado did.
That's why the TM team, you go out and you spend that money to bring in top talent, whether it's on the engineering side or whether it's on the riding side. You've got to make sure that you've got quality riders to get the most out of that machinery. Salvador did a really good job. I'm quite keen to see how they develop over the course of the year. He was a little bit outgunned at times down the start, finish straight, but let's see what he can do in Valencia in a couple of weeks' time. But as it is right now, Danny Halgado leading the championship after winning the opening race of the year. These Moto3 riders, a couple of weeks off, Kiko, and then we're back in action in Valencia.
We are, and again, Estoril, we've said it a couple of times, not the most accurate race to read into. As you saw there, even Ortola started on pole, could only finish 8th, but race winner, Daniel Holgado, certainly with the momentum.
Yeah, Danny Halgado leaves Estoril as the championship leader, and finally as a Moto3 Junior World Championship race winner.